Hamas agrees to Gaza ceasefire proposal.
Myanmar earthquake death toll could reach 100,000.
Spreading the passion for Vietnamese calligraphy.
Hello everyone, you are watching today's news and TV channel. My name is Đăng. Let's get started. Hamas says it has accepted a new Gaza ceasefire proposal from Egypt and Qatar, the two main mediators in the negotiations.
In a televised speech, Khalil al-Hayya, the leader of Hamas in Gaza, confirmed, Hamas has received a proposal from the mediators in Egypt and Qatar. Hamas has engaged positively and accepted that proposal. Earlier, on March 27, security sources revealed that Egypt had received positive signals from Israel regarding the new ceasefire proposal, which includes a transitional phase. The proposal calls for Hamas to release 5 Israeli hostages each week. The Hamas leader's statement came amid renewed escalation of tensions in the Gaza Strip after the Israeli military resumed military operations in the Palestinian territory, resulting in numerous casualties.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva attended the Vietnam-Brazil Economic Forum in Hanoi on March 29 during Lula's state visit to Vietnam.
At the forum, both sides noted that the potential for economic cooperation is still very large and not commensurate with the potential, especially after the two countries upgraded their relationship to a strategic partnership. The business communities of both countries introduced their potential and strengths, and proposed solutions to promote cooperation in fields such as aviation, mechanics, agriculture, energy, and science and technology. President Lula da Silva emphasized that the trade turnover of $8 billion per year is still modest, and proposed efforts to achieve the target of $20 billion. He also proposed establishing a joint fund to promote investment and develop science and technology. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh affirmed that Vietnam is ready to act as a bridge for Brazil to enter the ASEAN market, and at the same time proposed promoting cooperation in the fields of green economy, digital economy, renewable energy, and high-tech agriculture.
The UN Geological Survey's forecast model estimates that the earthquake in Myanmar could result in up to 100,000 deaths.
The death toll to date has reached nearly 1,700 people with more than 3,400 injured, and the casualty figure is forecast to continue to rise. However, according to the forecast model of the U.S. Geological Survey, there is a 24% probability that the death toll in Myanmar could reach 10,000 people and a 35% probability that this figure could increase to 100,000 people. In addition, there is also a 32% probability that the death toll could exceed the 100,000 threshold. The Vietnamese Ministry of National Defense has organized forces to support Myanmar in overcoming the consequences of the earthquake. Meanwhile, a number of other countries including China, India, Russia, South Korea and Malaysia have announced that they will send rescue teams and humanitarian aid to Myanmar.
Coming up next is some daily news.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh has requested the completion of the 3,000 kilometers of north-south expressway from the northern mountainous province of Sao Bang to the southernmost province of Ca Mau by this year's end. Currently, 28 expressway projects and sub-projects with a total length of 1,188 kilometers are under construction. To date, the progress of most projects is on track and exceeding the plan. However, some projects are still behind schedule, and some obstacles and issues have not been thoroughly resolved. The Prime Minister directed local authorities to mobilize the entire political system, complete land clearance, provide sufficient materials, and care for the lives of people in the project areas. Contractors must work 3 shifts, 4 teams, ensuring project progress and quality. The government will prioritize capital allocation for projects set to be completed this year. A report by Cognitive Market Research indicates that the global cross-border e-commerce market will experience a compound annual growth rate, CAGR,
of 30.50% from 2024 to 2031. Vietnam, being an export-oriented economy with increasing integration into the regional and global economy, and possessing strengths in textiles, footwear, rice, and agricultural products, has substantial potential and room for growth in cross-border e-commerce. Participating in online import and export systems and cross-border e-commerce channels is an effective solution that opens up numerous opportunities for Vietnamese businesses to expand their customer base, increase market reach, enhance business capabilities, and improve the perceived quality of goods originating from Vietnam, bringing Vietnamese brands to consumers in various markets worldwide.
Within the framework of the I Love Vietnam project, Nhan Dan newspaper, in collaboration with technology partners, has deployed the installation of NFC chip-embedded boards at 3 famous historical, cultural, and tourist destinations in Nghệ An province, including Ho Chi Minh Square, Nghệ An Museum, and the Kim Lien National Special Relic Site in Nam Dan District. Smart interactive stations are installed in convenient, easy-to-observe locations for tourists to experience. At each location, tourists simply use their smartphones to interact with the chip-embedded boards to experience stories and images about the location and the province, city. Additionally, the interactive boards also provide search, navigation, and information lookup features to explore tourist destinations at the current location and surrounding areas.
Calligraphy is a unique art form where each stroke is more than just writing. It reflects the writer's soul, emotions, and philosophy. Over generation, calligraphy has preserved its core values while evolving to fit modern life. Today, it extends beyond traditional parallel sentences and lacquered boards, finding creative expression on diverse materials.
When mentioning calligraphy, many people often immediately think of ancient Han Nam characters, deeply rooted in tradition. However, alongside that, Vietnamese calligraphy is gradually asserting its position, becoming a unique art form that is both familiar and novel. With soft, flexible strokes, Vietnamese calligraphy not only honors the beauty of the Vietnamese language but also opens up a new creative space for those who love this art.
In the past, I loved seeing calligraphy paintings during Tet. Today, with the development of social media, I have also learned about this art form. I also have a group where I can interact with people who share their interests and passions.
Not confined to traditional frameworks, Vietnamese calligraphy brings a breakthrough in expression. From meaningful poems and aphorisms to artworks combined with modern painting and design. Especially with the participation of young people, Vietnamese calligraphy is spreading strongly, contributing to preserving and promoting the beauty of Vietnamese script in a very unique way.
Through social media and YouTube, and visiting temples where I saw teachers, I found this art form very appealing.
Having been involved with ink and inkstones for over 8 years, Ms. Thuy Hang started with a love for flowing strokes and persistently practiced every day, eventually becoming an inspiration for many young people passionate about calligraphy.
In the early days of learning, it was quite difficult, but when I started to have an affinity with the script, I was able to spread the love of calligraphy from students over 60 years old to young children just in 3rd grade who pursue calligraphy very diligently.
Today, calligraphy is widely applied not only in art but also in many other areas of life.
I apply calligraphy in teaching to help students promote and preserve the beauty of Vietnamese traditional culture.
The movement to write Vietnamese calligraphy has been and is receiving widespread attention, especially the response from young people, which is evidence of the flexibility in cultural adaptation, honoring the national script, the official modern script of the Vietnamese people.
This is the end of the show today. Thank you for watching.